Greetings, bloggers, vloggers, followers, and potters. Dustin here from Dustin's Dynasty with another edition of this week's vlog. Today, it is Autism Acceptance, Awareness, Inclusion Month, and I use those three terms because to me, it doesn't matter what anybody does. I do my own thing. We call it whatever we want to call it. There has been I think we are well aware of autism in 2024. If you haven't been aware of it, you must live under a rock or something. 2020, and we just need more acceptance, in the world as far as autism. We need to be accepted for us and everything about us, and we need to be included. So, I think, whatever, but my point is whatever anybody wants to do as far as whatever they want to call it, puzzle piece, red, infinity, that is their choice. And I will never bash anyone for that. So, I just want to bring that on, as we start Autism a month, in general, because it is April 2024, and I feel it's very important to bring that out. Now, when we talk about autism, because I think that's something I want to focus on in the month of April, and you'll see that throughout my blog this week when I wrote. We're focusing more on autism and less on mental health this month. We'll have May for Mental Health Month, and there's a lot of things there we can cover because mental health is really at the forefront these days and more than I've ever seen. But I think with autism, it's always, the challenges that we see. Um, I have had many challenges in my life, and to even be here and speaking at you, even as a video, as what I'm doing to you, I'm conveying to you through this recorded message on my computer. Um, I don't know if I would always feel comfortable doing that. Maybe not even, in the 3 years I've been doing that. The world has advanced so much, but even from myself to be able to articulate and have the intellect to share these things with you in the way that I do, I don't even know if that was possible. And I sometimes forget that that wasn't always possible for me as an autistic individual. Um, for many, many years, I was very backwards, very shy, and I wouldn't say even say shy. I was more introverted and very apprehensive to make connections with people and, not connect in the way that I do now and be able to do the things that I do now. Um, I had to be reminded of that today, in a conversation that I had, that there has been great strides that I have made in several decades. Even, with graduating high school, getting out of, just understanding the social landscape, understanding the way to interact with others properly and appropriately and effectively. Um, Granted, I've had some education, but if you had asked me 2.5 decades ago if that would have even been possible, we couldn't even see past getting into high school, let alone finishing it 2.5 decades ago. And then even, at post high school, even looking at things that were, somewhat possible that, I didn't even do. And, I didn't even the ways that, I didn't feel comfortable doing things. And I think if it was up to me when I graduated high school, I would have remained at home and kept to myself, and it would have been a very scary situation. And I think now that, things are finally evolving almost 2 decades since then, and where I'm at today, I think we realized that it could have been a very, you could have, there could have been a great deal of regression. There would have been, things would have not evolved in the way they did. Yes, I've done some things, as far as, in the positive direction, vocational training and, going back to school, those things. and maybe I should have done more things with those. I mean, I should have communicated better with those individuals um, when that happened. I think it's hard to think about that. You know, um, I have a lot of regret about that growing up as now decades later, especially with the vocational training piece, because there was a prime environment where that could have the communication could have been better, and it was not. And I have made some amends in that area, and but I still wish there was a better connection. And that was my doing. And I think for the longest time, I think with me, with autism, when you have the comorbidity of anxiety playing with that, you have a lot of trouble advancing in things because when I want to communicate, and I do communicate well, I'm very articulate, as you see. I'm doing this video and it's very articulated, and I have a great intellect. But I think communicating with someone at the level I feel comfortable with and getting used to that level, and then when you take it to the next level, that is where the struggle for myself sets in. Um, I get really anxious and I'm really fearful of doing that because it just seems scary, and you think of the million what ifs, you think of everything and anything that could go wrong. And it's very hard. And you want and my comfort tactic is to flee from a situation, and I wish I had better coping skills to deal with that, and I hopefully someday I will, because the people that are here to support me will not always be here. And there's going to have to be a time when I'm going to have to be comfortable with, advancing, you know, myself more with other people outside of what I do now. And the things are changing, whether I like it or not. Things are changing in this world. This is going to be this has been, since December of last year and into this year, it has been a world of change. And I've done so well with it. And it's just so hard sometimes to embrace things that really have to be more of what I have to take initiative to do, because it puts me out of my comfort zone and it makes me uncomfortable. And sometimes it can be hard as an autistic person to step outside of our comfort zone because we feel like we don't have control of a situation. We feel like we don't have the ability to be able to comfort ourselves in the way that we do. I wish, that was not the case, and I wish that, it would be better, but unfortunately, it's just what autism is, and it can kick you in the butt sometimes. It really can. Um, I wish it wasn't that way. I wish I could communicate with, I love talking to people. I love communicating. And I think that, there's a lot of this isolation piece, or this loneliness piece, or this piece where we want to be, on our own and not care about anybody else or anything like that. And it can be so hard sometimes because I want to connect with others in my way that I see fit. And maybe I need that natural connection. Maybe I need that, next step. But I'm so afraid of making that next step because you know, it's so challenging, and the anxiety just comes down so hard. And only thing I can think of doing at that moment is avoiding things, putting up a wall and just not doing things. And that sometimes can come and bite you in the butt. It really can. And it's not that you can't be angry at those who did moved on to other things, other territory, because they did what they because they had to do what that was best for them. But here I am. I'm in this revolving cycle of doing this sort of not wanting to get out of my comfort zone, and I keep doing it over and over and over and over, and it hurts sometimes. And whatever you say about, you have feelings or you don't have feelings, let me tell you what, autistic people have feelings. That is that I despise that as an autistic adult. The fact that we don't have empathy for things. I feel empathy for so much in this world. And for people to say the things they say about empathy, that is such a farce. And it's hard to establish because you, we show empathy as autistic people, not in the ways that neurotypical people do. We show empathy in other ways that may not be conventional and may not be what neurotypical people think should be. But that is the reality of the situation. And if anything, I would love to work at being more connective and more outgoing and more moving forward with that because I think there's a lot of this isolation piece, and I see it every day that COVID has not helped with that, and the pandemic's over, and if you believe what you believe, that's fine too. But it did do a lot of damage in the community. Regardless of what camp you're on, did a lot of damage to the ability of all the skills we learned. There was some regression, whatever you want to believe. And, that's just, I think it's hard. When you try to do things in a way and you can't do them. And sometimes it's just hard when you see that, it's always the negative. You always want to put yourself down as an autistic adult. At least I do. It's always that the fact that I want to put myself down because I feel like I have to put myself down for being, for not having what I feel I want and what I know I want. And it's two and a half, one dozen of the other. The anxiety plays its part, and it's not going to go away. And I do agree that I need to work on that myself and building better coping mechanisms and defense mechanisms and coping strategies to better address those issues. Um, I know that, and I keep pushing it. It's like kicking the can down the road. You keep kicking the can down the road, and it's going to eventually be too late when there's not going to be support that I'm trust and can confide in to where it's not going to be available. That's the same thing. And whatever you think, it's just real. And it really gets me thinking. When we talk about, autism awareness, acceptance, inclusion, you know, there needs to be more of that. And I wish, but it also takes a part of autistic people who, have to be willing to take that next step and have the comfort and ability and the the arrangements to be able to navigate the realms that they feel that they want to do, even though it may seem very challenging to them. It's very challenging. I, you know, for many years, I was considered a jerk when people first met me. My communication was very challenging. It was very abrasive. It was very, judgy. It was very hard to decipher. And eventually, I learned through the skills of others and the camaraderie that people brought forth to me, the likeness and the appreciation of what it was. And I was able to finally see that there's great value in myself. And even though that may be the case when I see it, it can be hard to see it sometimes because the brain always wants to put forth the negative because of the way the brain is wired for me. And I'm slowly working to better that wiring piece. But it's just sometimes it's challenging to rewire that brain and try to think, of when you're thinking of all this negative stuff. And it doesn't even have to involve myself. It can be things that you have these flawed thoughts and these looping flawed thoughts that just don't make any sense. They're not valid, and they may not even matter to me, but somehow my mind gets preoccupied with them. But then you have to look at the positive of a situation and understand that there's good things in situations that need to be looked at as well, and see beyond what that is. It's very challenging when you try to be a good person, you try to do the right thing, you try to uh you know when I first want to connect with people, it was like avoiding the plague. I think sometimes you have to be reminded of how far I've came in that regard. And it's not been easy. You know, there's potential. There's potential in here, and I need to see it more. But it's what it is, and there is potential in every autistic person, whether you like to hear it, whether that is a belief that people cannot see, or that they see beyond what they see. There is potential. And I see it every day on Facebook. I see it on all these content creators. I see it where there's venues to do that. And it may not be what society thinks, but it is valid, and it is making that person's day. It is doing what they think, it is seeing beyond what is viewed, and that there is actually intellect. And for me, it's hard to always see that. It's always hard to see the articulation and the intellect that we see. So, that's just it in a nutshell. I want to focus more on autism for Autism Month, and we'll focus on mental health for Mental Health Month. But I did want to share that with you for a few minutes today. And I thank you for listening. So be sure to like and subscribe. You'll have great content on here. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Pinterest. That handle is Dustin's Dynasty. I'm on the web. That handle is that website is dustinsdynastyusa.com. And I'm on Linktree. That handle is Dustin's Dynasty. And you'll find everything you need there. Again, I want to thank you for listening. Have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe out there, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.